All right, on this episode of the LPDS, we're talking about hypothetical time machine stories, actions, not stories. What would you do if you had access to a time machine and you can go anywhere you want, past or future, and then what would you do? We got some good fan feedback, fan submissions on that. Got a couple of current events to discuss. And then we got what I would say is another great Cage fact. So we'll cut right to the chase, and it's all coming up right now. All right, jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to the Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti. Hope everybody had a good week. Happy 4th of July. Randy's over there in the back behind camera. Look at himself. That's great. Happy 4th of July, everybody. By time you're probably tuning into this, it's likely July 4th already, Independence Day come and gone. So I hope everybody enjoyed their time off if they had off from work and enjoyed any sort of relaxation and respite. Maybe spend time with some friends and family, or just some time to unwind a little bit and not have to worry about the stressors of life and work, and remember the times of actual independence and freedom. Interesting. It's been interesting, to say the least, on social media, who's posting what about Independence Day, because you have the extremes, the radicals on both sides of the aisle. You know, one is, oh, I wish this country was actually free because of all the political stuff going on. And then there's, I remember the good old days when we fought for our right for freedom, and it's just comical. It's comical because these people think that, I don't know what they're thinking, to be honest. Maybe they think that they're making some sort of influence, or having an influence. Not making influence. You don't make influence. Maybe you do. I don't know. But having some sort of influence and changing people's minds and hearts and minds or whatever on social media about stuff like this. But I just don't understand. There's these people out there who just have an obsession, any excuse to get on a platform and get all eyes on them. I don't know what they call that. Narcissism? I don't know. Some sort of mental health issue, probably. And you could call me a hypocrite because I post videos. I've been trying to post a reel at least every day for Spearhead Leadership. So I guess you can technically call me a hypocrite because I want all eyes on me. And that is true. I do want more eyes on the company and the business for clients and stuff. But I feel like I'm pretty transparent about that. I want to help people and I want to grow my business as well. And I'm not pretending to sell you on emotions, to trick you into doing something, or to follow along in my cult-like practices. Again, this is what I believe I'm doing. If anybody has any actual outside objective feedback, and hey, dial it down with your videos, are actually having the wrong effect, let me know. I am open to feedback and growing and learning and becoming better, so I don't become one of those people that just cares about the limelight and getting attention and swindling people. I actually want to help people, and that's why I want to get eyes on there. So if I'm doing it wrong, please let me know. I don't want to end up like those people. Anyway, happy 4th of July. Don't get hung up, please, on the politics of things. Yes, things are happening in the world that people don't like, and you're already going to see loads about it on social media and TV. So maybe let's just check out of that for a second. It's not affecting anybody in particular very much, especially people who listen to this show. So don't allow it to affect you in a way that it doesn't need to. Okay? The Supreme Court decisions that happen, I know everyone is reeling about that. People are bitching and moaning, or people are high-fiving each other, whatever your reaction is that you have to put on social media for people to to see that you have an opinion and you're on this team and follow me or die, whatever. Just step back from it, okay? It's not that serious. If you thought we were going to get student loan forgiveness legitimately, I feel sorry for you, honestly. I feel sorry for you that you legitimately thought they were just going to forgive the billions and billions, maybe trillions of dollars in student loan debt like that. That's crazy. The government, let me get on one real quick. The government can't even run the post office. Okay? We can't even run our own elections without issues and scandal and lies and people calling fraud and stealing, and whether that's true or not. We can't even do that right. What makes you think they're going to magically be able to make billions of dollars of student loan debt get wiped away, especially when those billions of dollars should be going in their pockets? They're the ones who loaned out the money. It was for federal student loans, this whole debacle. You think for 1 second they're just going to be, okay, you don't need to pay us back? No. If you actually looked into anything about it, they weren't forgiving student loans. They were passing the burden on. They were still going to get theirs. Don't worry. They're still getting their money regardless. And they knew that. And that's why it's such a sleazy ploy for any politician. They've been doing this for years, by the way, pushing this. But for any politician to do something like this, because they know they're getting their money either way. And by putting this bill out that they know was not going to get passed, is going to get shot down, now they could say, hey, we tried to take care of the people. Don't forget the team that tried to take care of the people. But we got shot down by the corrupt other side, or whatever they want to use as an excuse. They're either getting their money from you paying back your student loans, or they're passing the burden on to the taxpayer, because that was in the bill, to add it to your taxes, add a couple percentage point to the taxes of the rest of the people. So we're all paying it regardless. They're getting their money. And it's very sleazy to pull that maneuver on people and then pit us against each other, making it sound like they're doing something great for us. They're doing something great for them. Okay? And if we can unite on something for a change in this country, in this day and age, it would be awesome if we can all realize that the majority of the politicians that are in office in the past dozens of years, decades, have cared about two things only: money in their pocket and power for their party. And that's it. And if we can find a way to come together to change that for the better, that would be swell. That would be quite a great 4th of July celebration if we can actually come together on something for a change and not let the media and the dramatics and the lies and the hypocrisy divide us and cause chaos. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Moving on. What do I got here in my notes? Oh, this is interesting. This is actually a news article sent to me by the Bradley Blotter. One of the few times he contributes to this show in a positive way. But thank you for the submission. It was an article where a bunch of people who interviewed for a position in Bill Gates's executive company. I think it's called the Gates Ventures or something like that. It was like his private company, not tied to Microsoft. It was just working directly with him or for him or whatever. And apparently they hired, maybe they're still doing it, a third-party team to conduct the interviews of these candidates for these positions. And a number of people, men and women, came out and said that the questions that they were asking were very uncomfortable, very private, and what is the word I'm looking for? They were digging for a lot of very seemingly weird personal information. I don't remember the term I want to use. It's an actually big smart guy term, and of course I forget about it because I am a jabroni. But they were prying and digging and asking all these uncomfortable questions of these people under the guise of, hey, we want to make sure that there's nothing that anybody outside in the ether can use to blackmail you or Bill Gates, because you're going to be working so close to one of the richest men in the world. So we want to make sure that he's protected. They don't really care about the candidate. If you get blackmailed, cool. But if it affects him, that's a problem. Now, I understand the logic. It's his business. It's his company. You got to protect yourself. But some of the questions they were asking were very sexual in nature. Most of those questions were for the women. And they were, in my opinion, way over the line as far as being inappropriate. But they were asking them like different sexual positions you've experimented with. Have you ever filmed yourself doing sex? Do you have any naked photos that could be, discovered or out there? Tell me about your sexual practices. What do you like to do? All this weird, creepy stuff. And I don't remember all the questions per se, but they were very creepy. And then even the men said that they were getting very uncomfortable questions and stuff that was absolutely unnecessary for the position or the job. And that whole umbrella of, oh, we're just making sure that no one can be exploited or blackmailed is absolute malarkey. And of course, because they hired a third party contractor to do the interviewing, the Gates Venture leadership team or whatever PR team was like, oh, well, we didn't know this was going on. If it is, that's terrible. But we hired, we don't know what the third party contractors are asking, what kind of questions they're asking. Yes, you do. Okay. Because I've been involved in this before where we have contractors help conduct interviews for positions in certain jobs, especially in my previous unit. We've done it before, and I've done it in previous companies I've worked throughout high school and college or whatever, where they hire outside teams to conduct interviews to help sort of prevent bias and stuff. And they 100% control the questions that are being asked in these interviews. They have to give them a list of, here's what we need to find out about these candidates to delineate who's the most qualified. So to point the finger and place the blame is absolutely despicable. I can't say I'm not surprised what that sleazeball has been doing over the years and getting caught with his pal Epstein and this and that, and getting divorced from his wife because he was cheating on her, or likely with underage women on Sex Pedo Island with Epstein. And now he's getting busted here. And of course they just point fingers, and it's not my fault. I didn't do anything. I'm Bill Gates. I'm this holier than thou, only care about others and not myself kind of thing. You know that guy, all the donations he makes, all this charity that he says he supports and donates to, they're all connected to him in some way, shape, or form in a business profit sense. So he's essentially donating to himself. It all comes back around to donate to him. He's a sleazeball. Okay? He's a piece of garbage. He didn't even come up with Microsoft himself. He had some smart engineers create the stuff for him, and then he bought it from him for pennies on the dollar. And then he had the ability to network and sell it and make billions off of it. He's a sleazeball, crook, pedo. And now, of course, he's trying to blame somebody else for his creepy behavior. So Now I'm hot and bothered about that. So thanks for that. I saw another article. It wasn't an article. It was really more of an update on Epstein stuff. They put out some of the courtroom documents of the timeline between Epstein getting arrested and him getting suicided. And you can see all the actual criminal activity that went on behind the scenes of not getting the DVRs fixed and the guards not doing their jobs and them claiming he had suicidal thoughts when he actually didn't. He never said he did. And that there was already an attempt on his life by his cellmate, but his cellmate said that he woke up and Epstein was trying to kill himself. And Epstein was like, no, my cellmate was trying to choke me to death. And they didn't do anything about it. All this weird, sleazy crap again going on. But I'm not going to get into that too much because I'll go off for days on that because I'm obsessed with them bringing these criminals to justice and how they're just washing over the whole thing. Anyway, in lighter news, folks, good news, funny news, I guess you could say. Domingo Germán of the New York Yankees pitched a perfect game, the 24th in MLB history. I think the 4th by a Yankee, I believe. And it was against the Oakland Athletics, the worst team in the league. Record-wise, stats-wise, everything. They're the worst team in the league, but the Yankees pulled it off. Domingo pulled it off, which is an incredible feat in itself. What's funny about it is two things. One, the obvious, that people don't know how to react to it because Domingo Germán got suspended for slapping his wife at a charity event. In fact, it was a Yankees charity event. CC Sabathia's charity foundation dinner. And Domingo Germán slapped his wife at the dinner table there. And then he got suspended for 50 games. She did not press charges, but he got punished by the MLB, suspended, and the Yankees brought him back because they don't really care about that stuff. They care about trying to win games or trying to make us believe they want to win games. So he was back. So people don't know how to react to the fact that this woman beater got a perfect game because they're happy. It's an amazing feat that this happened. And of course, Yankee fans are happy because it happened to the Yankees. But this is not a good guy. So it's been humorous, to say the least, to watch people try to separate the artist from the art, or whatever the term is, whatever the smart guy term is. The second thing that's humorous about it is that while they did it to the A's, the worst team in the league, if you look at the numbers, and this was brought to my attention by the Creature, who he needs to start a bullpen GM again and start putting out content on baseball stuff because he's the guy to go to. But he brought to my attention that if you look at the stats of the Yankees when Aaron Judge is not playing, which has been a lot this season because he got his contract, so now he's getting hurt every 3 games. The Yankees stats are almost identical. They're not quite. They're very comparable, almost identical to the A's offensive stats and winning and all that other stuff. And like I mentioned before, the A's are the worst team in the league right now and on pace to be the worst team in MLB history. And when you take out one player from the Yankees lineup, they become statistically the same as the worst team in MLB history. Yet Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner keep pushing out their propaganda that they're championship caliber, and if it wasn't for all these injuries, they would be World Series competitive. And I'll say it again. They're not World Series competitive, okay? They lose one player, Aaron Judge, and the team falls apart. And just like we talked about in the offseason, just like we worried about, all the Yankees did was get one player to re-sign Aaron Judge. That's all they focused on. They did nothing else to actually improve the team. They legit think that this team is the team that's going to take them to a championship, or at least that's what they're telling us. And just like we predicted, as soon as something bad happens to Aaron Judge, the team's going to fall apart. And yeah, they might be winning games, a couple here and there against the Oakland Athletics, but they stink. Okay. And also, the team is not injured anymore. Okay. It's Aaron Judge. It's Carlos Rodon, who hasn't played a single inning with the team yet because of his chronic back issues. They say he's coming back any day now, this week maybe, but I'll believe it when I see that. So who knows how he's actually going to do. It's not like he came in and diced people up and then got hurt and they're like, oh crap, we would have been way better with him. We don't know. He could come out and be an absolute dud like the rest of the players out there. And then you have Nestor Cortez, who's out, who I love, and even he was sort of struggling in the second half of his games that he pitches. So that's it. Everybody else is out there. Stanton, Donaldson, Bader, LeMahieu, Rizzo, the new golden child, Volpe. They're all out there. And they're batting 240 as a team, 230 as a team. Absolutely abysmal. So don't tell me it's the injuries that is keeping them. Just like we said here on this show and what the creature has been preaching, they stink. They are not a good team. Only their rookies and guys coming up from the minors to help out with the team have been actually doing anything and trying hard. Everybody else stinks. Rizzo's been doing okay. I'll give him that. Even DJ LeMahieu, who I love, has been stinking it up for his caliber of play. So that's what we got going on this 4th of July week, Independence Day, and the Yankees stink. But perfect game. Congratulations. You did it to the worst team. I did see a funny meme. It was like a picture of some drawing of this guy crying, and he's wearing an athletics hat like he's a player and a jersey. And it said, God, why do you keep giving me your toughest battles? And then the split screen is Jesus, and he's responding. It's like, all you had to do is get one base hit. So I thought that was pretty funny. If you don't get that joke, I'm not explaining jokes anymore. Get it or don't get it and move on. So with that, speaking of moving on, we got a good junction topic I was excited about, and I'll talk through that a little bit. But first, we'll step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by, this sponsor is trash, Walter's Waterbeds. Are you looking to spice up your love life in the bedroom, but your own motion in the ocean just isn't doing it for your significant other anymore? Then get yourself a Walter's Waterbed. Walter's beds are custom filled with repurposed septic water that allows for maximum motion that really adds an extra element of mystery when you're Donald Ducking for your spouse, feeling the septic lumps on your body, wondering who ate Chipotle earlier that day. So if you want to, what does that say? So if you want to sway while you slay today, visit www.sewagesex.com and use the promo code Lumpy Hump for 29% off. I just got a new mattress, not for me, for my guest room. In fact, the creature helped me with it. He moved to a new establishment, and he had this mattress that was used once in his guest room by me when I was coming down here looking for houses, and he was going to toss it, and I was like, no, we can use this for the guest room so that people don't have to sleep on a tiny full-size mattress that I've had since college. And I don't even want to tell you what went on that mattress. I'll caveat real quick because you're going to think I'm the sleazeball. I only slept on that mattress after college. So I made the mistake of just taking it off somebody else, so to speak, as a hand-me-down, and I used it myself for about a year before I upgraded mattresses, and then it became the guest room mattress. But I kept it because I was poor at the time, and then I was cheap later on, and didn't want to buy a new mattress for the guest room that one person uses a year. And long story short, that thing was disgusting. and it's going in the garbage now. So we got a fresh new mattress thanks to the creature. Big time California King. So I need to get actual big time bedding for it. So get excited to come visit the LPDS compound, the new ranch. So, all right, Cage fact. I think several people sent this. Several people did send this to me, but I'm sure a bunch of people saw this. There was a thread going around on Instagram and maybe Twitter too of Nic Cage like stories and stuff that you can swipe and read. And one of them was this story where this lady said that they were on their honeymoon, and when they were checking in, the hotel said, "Hey, we have a real high-end celebrity who is looking to stay here long term in the honeymoon suite. Would you be okay with going to another room for the night?" And they said obviously no, because it's their honeymoon. They want to be in the honeymoon suite. And then they said the next morning they saw Nic Cage hanging around the lobby at breakfast or something like that. And then they made the assessment, Nic Cage almost ruined my wedding day because they tried to steal the room. Now, that's a gross assumption, okay? They never said where this hotel was, where they actually were, to suggest that, to see if it made sense timeline-wise or location-wise or anything. They just saw a celebrity. Don't you think that if somebody wanted an extended period of time in the honeymoon suite, a specific suite, and they didn't get it, they would just go somewhere else? I guess it's possible that they picked another room while the honeymoon suite was being occupied, and then after the newlyweds left, they would take it over for the long term. Maybe. But I have to imagine most top-tier hotels that celebrities are going to be staying at have suites better than just the honeymoon suite. There's usually presidential suites or other rich-type suites for celebrities and not just the honeymoon suite. Now, again, to be fair, Nic Cage is a unique kind of guy. He might have actually wanted just the honeymoon suite as opposed to the presidential suite or whatever else they had. So it's possible, but to make that gross assumption is gross. It's just, it's inappropriate, it's disrespectful, and just be better at that. Anyway, that story came out, and everyone was up in arms about it. And then Minnie Driver, big-time actress, she was in Good Will Hunting and some other really good movies that I'm blanking on off the top of my head, but I'm a big fan of hers. Clearly not a big fan because I don't know all her movies, but she's a great actress, actor, whatever you want to call it. And she was doing an interview for something, and she had a story where one time she said that she was on a plane with Nic Cage, not together, but he was on the plane as well with his son. And next to them was an empty seat. And the story she said was that Nic Cage purchased a plane ticket for his son's imaginary friend to sit on the plane with them so that he wouldn't be stuck on the floor or whatever. And this was when one of his sons was younger. We don't know which one. We don't know if it was Weston. I think his one name is Weston or Kal-El. But he did that, and she wanted to tell that story because it shows that, yeah, again, it sounds weird. Like, why would you do that? Psychotic. But he could do it because he's wealthy, and he was trying to be a good father. Like, I get it. You have an imaginary friend you think is real. In your mind right now, that's a real friend, and we need to take care of your friend. So he was just doing it for his kid, and it's just further proof that Nic Cage likely wouldn't do something like that where he would ask newlyweds to leave their honeymoon suite on their honeymoon or whatever, newlywed suite, whatever it is, so that he can stay there long term. I don't believe that for a second. I believe this story here. So anyway, that's the Cage fact. Well, moving on over to the Junction, spin the logo up. And we're talking about time machines and going back in time or forward in time or whatever. So the question I posed to the people, as I take a quick sip of my fizzy popalik over here. The question I posed to the people was, if you had access to a time machine, free access, no strings attached, and you can go anywhere in time, past or future, where would you go and what would you do? And this came because Nikki Sticks, my brother, sent a video to me and to the Bone Crusher separately, and it was a video of the same essential question. And the video was a comedy bit of a guy where he decided to go back in time to when John Wilkes Booth was about to shoot Lincoln, and he thwarts John Wilkes Booth, and then him and Lincoln beat the shit out of John Wilkes Booth. And that was the video. It was funny, entertaining. And then I didn't know the Bone Crusher had this video as well, and he texted me within seconds saying, hey, you know what would be a good question for the LPDS? The time machine question. And I go, Sticks just sent me a video of that. Did you get it too? He's like, yep. I was just thinking the same thing. So good brothers moment right there. And it is a good question. And people have asked it before in the past. I got it. Whatever. We're not original here. Look, we've been doing this for 3 years. Okay, only 3 years. You think people didn't ask this question already in the annals of time and space? There was an entire trilogy on going back and forward in time in a time machine. You think people weren't asking the question back then in 1985 when it came out? Give me a break. Probably came out in 86, actually, by the time they filmed the movie and produced it and whatever. But so I get it. Everything's been asked already. Okay? But it's still fun. This is still fun, entertaining stuff. Would you rather me talk about Sex Pedo Island or our corrupt politicians like a psychopath that I am? I don't think so. So we're going to talk about time machines and going back in time or forward in time. And we might as well just get right into it. Now, as you can imagine, the most popular answer was going back in time to do something to benefit them. So we'll get into that. And then I'll get into my responses. And I think we have a hotline call that I got to try to make work here on the system. So that'll be fun. All right. So this first one here, actually, I have it up on my computer. I don't even need my notebook. It's big time. This person said that they would go back in time to college time frame where they had access to their USAA loan, and they would put all that money into Bitcoin back in 2008, 2009, 2010 timeframe or whatever, when Bitcoin was 2 cents a share or whatever it was. Now, for those of you who don't know, the USAA bank loan is a loan offered to ROTC cadets, academy cadets, anybody in the military when they first join up with USAA. We're already approved for a $25,000 loan at like a super low interest rate. I think maybe at the time it was between 2 and 5%, maybe something like that. So that is what he would do with it. Most people took out the loan to do something stupid like buy a car or whatever. A lot of people use it to invest money in. This guy would go back in time to put it on Bitcoin and make a lot of money on it, probably. I don't know how much at the time. Didn't give a timeline, but that's what he would do. Okay. So thank you for that submission. This person here said that they would go back to their childhood in Romania where they were born, where they had childhood freedom. They were outside running around with the other kids. There was innocence. They didn't have any worries or stressors or no competition in life. They were just in the moment, enjoying that freedom that they had, that actual freedom to go do whatever outside, perceived freedom, maybe, I don't know, and just live in that moment again. And I thought that was lovely. They said that they were running around barefoot. I didn't like that. But I thought that was a lovely thing to want to go back and do, because as a kid, that is when we are truly free. It sounds crazy because as kids, we actually thought we were in prisons. And most of us actually compared our living situations under our parents' law as prisons. And going to school and having homework, blah, blah, blah. But really, it was the most freedom we've had as human beings in our lives for most of us. a lot, some of us know. I get it. Not everybody, but for me anyway, and for this person here, that was when freedom was actually free, was actually real. And you can just enjoy the moment you're in, knowing I don't have to go to work the next day. I don't have to worry about getting fired or losing my livelihood and being left on the streets and this and that, whatever. So thank you for that submission. It brought me back to my childhood too, so I appreciate that. All right, this guy here. Now, this guy, let me read this off first. So this guy said that they would go back to when they were 18, right after high school. They wouldn't want to relive middle school or high school, but they would go back to 18 after high school with all the knowledge they have now as a 40-year-old or late 30-year-old. He would try to find his current wife sooner in life, and then he would spend all his time with the people he loved more often than he did back then, because you don't realize what you got till it's gone. Okay? And I thought that was lovely. It was a little mushy, because what if you go back to find your wife earlier on and she wants something to do with you because she's in a different time of her life, and her, and she's not there yet, all with the knowledge that you have as a 40-year-old, 18-year-old. So I hope that part works out well for you. But the spending time with loved ones and the important people in your lives more often, especially ones that you've lost as of recent or whatever it might be. Yeah, that's heartfelt. That was nice. Now, this person is one of the Klug family. And if you remember from previous episodes, the Klugs are notorious, how you doing, for never correctly answering any LPDS question or poll. Never. And this is the first time that one of them answered it correctly and completely and understood what the actual question was and provided a submission that made sense to the question and didn't even go off on tangents. Oh, I forgot. They also added that they would be enjoying their loved ones while living in riches on a yacht, because they have all that knowledge of the future. So anyway, answer the question correctly. I was very proud, but I was also taken aback. And I even told them, I was like, I don't know if I can even use this submission for you guys and associate you, because this is the first time you actually answered it correctly. And I'm now worried that you're sick or something's wrong because you're breaking pattern. But he assured me everything is fine. He's good to go. He's thinking clearly. He's healthy. He's not being, he's not on an ISIS hostage video. So everything's copacetic with him. So thank you for that submission. All right. This person here said that they would go back to witness the ministry of Jesus, see what all the fuss was about, and then being able to experience God creating everything from back in the day. Now, this is a good submission for that person, because they are, what do you call it? With God, in with God. They're religious. They're deep in their faith. So it makes sense that they would want to do that. I completely understand that. For the atheists out there, you might be chuckling a little bit, thinking like, hey, I got bad news for you, pal. All you'll probably see is a bunch of monkeys eating mushrooms and doing sex and turning into humans. That's what the evolutionists might say. The other religious folks are probably like, this is a good idea. I would like to go back and see that too. So that's why I like this submission, because it brings another perspective into the world, to the LPDS world anyway, the LPDS universe. So thank you for that. I am genuinely curious to see if I had the ability to see what that actually would look like. It would answer a lot of questions. Let me tell you, it would answer a lot of questions that people have. So thank you for that. Interesting stuff. This guy said, this is a weird one. This guy said I would go back to June 6, 1944, which is around D-Day, and I would go to Germany and talk to Hitler. And I didn't rebut, but I responded with, just talk to him. He's like, yeah, just have a conversation, ask him questions, what's going through his head, who hurt you, what your favorite color is it blonde and blue? Just have like an interview style question and answer with the guy. And I thought it was interesting because why do you pick that time frame? Is it because D-Day was about to happen and shit was about to get real for the H-Man? Also, if you're going to meet with the H-Man, don't you think the obvious, what people say is, I would go back in time and kill baby Hitler. Why don't you go back then? Or before the war starts to prevent the carnage and stuff. Well, this guy who submitted it must have had the conversation beforehand with this next fan submission. And this is why he chose June 6th as opposed to before the war, because this guy submitted, well, obviously I would go and do something to make a whole bunch of money, invest in something or bet on sports and make $1 million or whatever. And then I would go back further and do D-Day. So he must have had the conversation with the Hitler interview guy, because the Hitler interview guy knew, hey, I know my buddy's about to go do D-Day right now, so I would love to see what Hitler's going, what's going through his mind as he's watching this guy go do D-Day. So I thought that was funny. And I'm thinking about it because as a greaseball Jersey or Northeast guy, all of our fathers love World War II. Love it. Movies, documentaries, books, anything. It's definitely their favorite war if they had to pick one. So as kids, all we wanted to do was go fight in World War II. Not war, just World War II. Storming the beaches, tossing grenades, smoking Lucky Strikes, killing Nazis. That's what we wanted to do. So it's funny to me that this guy, as an adult, the first thing he would do after he makes his millions, the second thing he would want to do is go storm the beaches of Normandy on D-Day. That's awesome. So there you go. This guy here, thank you for the submissions, by the way, on the World War II stuff. This guy here said he would go back to the winter of 1775, 2 months before the Battle of Trenton. Revolutionary War battle, I believe. And he would sit down with George Washington, have some whiskey, do a little shit talking to get them all riled up, and maybe have a little fisticuffs, a little slap fight. I don't know what they call it back then. Just to get them all spun up and riled and motivated, and then get them out into battle for the Battle of Trenton, which they, GW won pretty handily, I believe. But just to see them all jazzed up and ready to rock and roll after a quality shit talk session with a guy with a weird accent, because now American accents are weird compared to colonial British accents. So that would be interesting to see. I'm sure GW can scrap, and if you get a little bourbon in him, he would be able to, a couple pops in the old bastard, and he'd really be able to get after it. So cool. That's an interesting one. That's a cool little thing to go back to. All right, this guy here. Well, I say this guy. This is the Bone Crusher, and this is where it nicely ties into time machine stuff. He said, "I'd pull a Biff Tannen. I'd go back in time, and I'd bet $50,000 on the St. Louis Rams to win the 1999 Super Bowl, because they were at 3,001 odds to win that season in the beginning of the season. So he would be a billionaire, basically. And if you don't get the reference, Biff Tannen in Back to the Future 2, he got the gray sports almanac that Marty McFly bought in the future in 2015, and then old Biff Tannen took it, went back in time, gave it to young Biff Tannen. Biff Tannen bet on the ponies, bet on the football games, and became a billionaire. And then he opened up Trump Towers and lived in it, and he had a hot tub in his office, and he was just living large. And that's a great way to live too. And he was borking women and marrying his high school sweetheart who didn't like him. So that's a great thing to go back to. So that's fun to think about, becoming a big time billionaire, and awesome. Anyway, this guy, thank you for the submission, Bone Crusher. This guy here, this is a funny one. This guy said, I'd go back to 2001 to tell Derek Jeter to play back on the infield grass in the final game of the World Series against the Arizona Diamondbacks. And then within about a minute of saying that, this person was like, well, I guess if I'm going back to 2001, I could probably just try to stop 9/11 from happening. And that might be better. But his first thought was hilarious. I'd go back and tell Derek Jeter to play back so he can catch that ball. If you don't remember the game, 2001, after 9/11, the Yanks, everybody wanted the Yankees to win. It was New York. It was their time to pick up the pieces from 9/11 tragedy and to unite the country together so that we could take on Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden, and they were going to do this by the Yankees winning the World Series. And was it Game 7? It was Game 7, I believe. And the Yankees were playing the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the infield was in because they needed to prevent a run. And Luis Gonzalez, that's who it was, Luis Gonzalez, who was a steroids user, probably, because I think everyone would use steroids, not that I care. He hit a flare, not even a line drive. He got jam-shotted by Mo Rivera. I believe it was Mariano Rivera pitching. I think it was, actually. And he had a little jam shot over the head, over the leaping Derek Jeter, who was playing in on the infield grass. And they scored the game-winning runs to win the World Series in dramatic fashion, ruining that whole storyline and everything about New York and all that stuff. So this guy would want to go back in time just to tell Derek Jeter to push Joe Torre to the side and be like, Jeet, get back. Back it up a little bit. Catch that ball, win the championship, unite the country. And then the second thing he would do would be like, I guess I can just go and stop 9/11 from happening as well. But look, I get it. The same reason why the one guy wanted to go back and have an interview with Hitler instead of kill him. Everybody's different. Okay? We all want what we want. Now, I thought about this a long time. Even before the topic came up, I always think about what I would do if I can go back in time. If the question you always ask, if I knew then what I know now, what my life would be like. And there's also other stuff I would think about doing. Like John Wilkes Booth thing sounded appetizing to go kill him before he killed Lincoln. I was a big Lincoln fan as far as presidents go. Maybe stop the CIA from killing JFK. Maybe sneaking onto the shuttle, the Apollo 11, to see if I can find out if we really went onto the moon or not. That's a big question for some people in my life. They still believe that we never went to the moon. I don't know how I feel about it. That's another topic we could talk about in the future, the moon landing. That's an entertaining one, actually, because I love space and I wanted to be an astronaut. But, yeah, I would think about going up there and seeing if Buzz and I was going to say Lance Armstrong, Neil Armstrong and went on there, whatever it was, Phil Collins, all the three of them going on the moon, whatever. I don't know. I was thinking about it a lot, like go back in time and bet money and be super rich and successful and happy and find a hot babe and marry them and have a great family, blah, blah, blah. But after thinking about it a lot, I realized you think you know what's going to happen. Like I'll bet money or I'll invest or I'll invent something and then I'll become the rich guy. I'll become the Bill Gates or whatever. But the problem is the butterfly effect. Okay? And most people are familiar with the butterfly effect and they discuss it in the documentary Back to the Future multiple times. What the one thing you change in the past will drastically change everything else in the course of the future. Okay? It's not as simple as you going back, betting money, and becoming rich. Everything else in the ether changes. The whole universe changes because of it. and I forgot the actual saying, like if a butterfly breaks a twig, then there's a tidal wave in Italy. I don't remember what it is, but that's the notion there. The idea is one small thing has the ripple effect to affect everything around it in the future. And I don't know, and that unknown scares me. So what I thought I would do, and there's still unknowns here, but what I would do is I would go into the future, maybe 2 decades, a decade or two, to see what my life is like as in the future. See what's going on with my family. See if I became successful as I wanted to be. If I have a family or not. What's going on with Randy, maybe. If he's still alive. Doubt it. What is going on in the future? How did we all end up? And then I would use that knowledge to come back and come up with a game plan to try to affect change for the positive and also not inadvertently cause second and third order effects of the butterfly effect that's going to cause negative problems on the peripheries. Because if I see that I'm not successful and then I come back here and I go do something different in the present, I don't want to inadvertently cause chaos somewhere else in my world or in this world in general. So I would make sure I come up with a game plan to try to button up everything as much as possible before I actually move out on that game plan. And then also I would have to take that step back, and as you know, if I see something in the future that's terrible and sad, but it has to happen, like let's say like a family member passes away because of old age or whatever, like it would be instead of going back to try to give them a miracle cure or something like that, I would probably just spend more time with that person and enjoy the time I have with them, because everybody has to die. We all have to die. And if you come up with something like that, that has effects on everything else. Now everybody's living forever. If you come up with this miracle cure for something, everybody's living forever. That includes bad people too, and pedos and criminals. So there's a lot of stuff to think about, but I would use the knowledge of the future to try to positively affect my present and positively affect the present around me as best as I can. And I know there's going to be issues with that. And I'm sure people are going to be coming back to me and saying that's still stupid because you're still doing butterfly effect and this and that. Who knows what's going to happen, blah, blah. Got it. And I suppose you can do that in the past too. But here's the thing with doing that, going into the past with that knowledge and then trying to plan, game plan to make sure you're not creating a bad butterfly effect. You don't know what's going to happen to present you. And we're getting crazy here. Listen, just follow me here. Present you is right now, whatever you got going on in your life. Okay, you got your job, your family, whatever debt you have, your riches, successes, whatever. That's you now. Now you're taking present you now in that time machine, and now present you is still present you, but in the past. And then in the past, you do something to change your situation so that present you is a different present you. You don't know how that's actually going to turn out. You might be rich, but what if you become an evildoer like Bill Gates? Bill Gates is rich and successful. He's a piece of garbage. You could become Vladimir Putin type, because as soon as you leave the past with that new riches and new, change there that you made with all your guilty knowledge, you're just going to skip right back to the present day, and you're not going to see actually things come to fruition. You're not going to see a potential fall from grace, your fall into dictatorship, whatever it might be. And the chances of that happening, if you go into the future, see yourself, gather up all that intel in the future, then come back to the present, you're going to be living those days as you move along into the future. So it'll always be the present. You still have the ability. You have the knowledge. I know what my life was like in the future. I already saw it. And now I'm living every day. So if I see something veering off in a wrong direction, I can course correct. If you go to the past and you change something, you can't course correct. You're already skipping back to the present. This is all getting confusing, I know. We might have to red yarn this one day so I can show everybody what it actually looks like, what I'm talking about. Just like Doc Emmett Brown did with Marty. There's a lot of lines here. A lot of blurred lines here going on with time travel. And this is why I like this topic so much, because you could get deep into this conversation and you could get a little kooky about it. And sometimes we here at the LPDS like to get a little kooky. All right, let's get kooky, baby. So that's all I have to say about that for now. Maybe I can get a whiteboard in here and when I can actually draw it out on a board. Here's what I'm talking about when you skip here and then you go here, and here's the butterfly here taking a crap and causing the tidal wave. All of it. Very interesting stuff to theorize and focus your brain on, as opposed to other bullshit going on in your lives right now, if there is bullshit going on. So that's all I got for that. Before we go, really quick, the big three, the 3 pillars to staying strong and being a better, happier, kinder, more genuine human being and passing that goodness on. Ooh. No, we're not doing the big 3. We have a hotline call. I completely forgot until just now. Thank you for reminding me. Crazy brain. Let me pull up this hotline call real quick and see what we got.
Hey, Johnny, it's Tony Ciccone here. I just got through listening to your video on stress. Just to let you know, I got a little stressed out this week myself. I thought I wasn't hearing very well, so I went to the ear doctor to find out whether or not my hearing was going. I'm pretty good with hearing, because up till the last week or two, if somebody dropped a dollar bill on the floor, I would hear it. So I guess that's a little funny. But anyhow, he said to me my hearing was fine. I said, what could it be? He said, well, maybe you're listening to the television too loud or too low. I said, yeah, I was listening to a video podcast in the last couple of weeks, and I was having difficulty in hearing the podcast. So he said to me, well, maybe it's not working right. And then I came up and I had to put, you know what? It's poor Johnny's stand, his mic stand. I said, that must be it, because he's fiddling with it all the time. And either he's going away from it, that I can't hear it. And I said to myself, you know what? What I want to do is I want to take up a donation from my family. So what I've decided to do, Johnny, I got a donation from all the people in my family, and we said that we want to buy Johnny a new mic stand, okay? So all you need to do, Johnny, to solve my problem and solve your problem is email me. Let me know what the cost of a good mic stand is, and I'll be very, very happy. It's my pleasure to do it, and at least I'll be able to hear you more clearly, okay? But that's the most important thing. We got to hear each other's words and actions and everything else. So if we're able to do that, then we'll be in good shape. Because I have to thank you that my hearing is okay, and your stand is no good. So I'll replace my hearing with a new stand for you, with the affordability of my whole family. They all send their regards. They all say, Johnny, the best to you and the best to family. And let me know. You have my email address. Send it to me. Whatever it is, it's done. Okay? And let's move on. Have a good week. Keep plugging, and peace out. Take care, Johnny. Have a good day now. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, there you have it. Tony Ciccone, Tony Sacco, as he's called in the LPDS universe. What a call. What a call. It was filled with humor and shit talking and blessings and goodwill and gratitude, and it was tremendous. Thank you for that. Thank you for the call, Tony. That was awesome. Here's the spoiler alert. Mic stands are really not that expensive. And the only reason why I'm not buying one myself right now is because I'm saving up my money so I can get a new audio interface, a mixer here. If you're looking at YouTube land, I'm pointing to it here. You can see part of it. That is going to affect the audio quality a lot more than this stupid mic stand. And when I get a new one, that'll be a different size, and I'll have different space availability on the Resolute desk, so I can get a stand that fits the desk better. And then I'll be able to get an upgrade on the stand because they're really not that expensive, and then we'll be in good shape. So I want to give my thanks out to the family, which probably includes me too. I wonder if I'm donating as part of this for the offer, the mic stand. But I'm gonna get the new audio mixer, the interface, and then the mic stand will come, and then we'll be good to go. It's not your hearing at all. It's me. We got to take ownership here. If you listen to anything from Spearhead Leadership, you gotta own your shit. You got to take absolute ownership of everything. And this is on me to take care of for you guys and for you, Tony. So thank you for that call. Tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. Okay, that's all we got now. Now we'll get to the big three. The three pillars to staying strong and being a better, happier, kinder, more genuine human being and spreading that goodness to the rest of the world. Number one, exercise every day. Physical, mental, or emotional exercise. Do one thing every day to get better and healthier and more fit physically, mentally, or emotionally. Number two, don't be a shitty person. Be a kind person. Just take a step back. Don't get involved in the negative crap going on in the world. If somebody is saying something to you that you don't like and you want to take a jab at them and really punch back verbally, just omit yourself from the situation, detach from your emotions, and just don't add to the negativity and the garbage and the shit going on around you, especially on the internet where it's the easiest thing to do because you can hide behind your computer or your phone or your little profile and you forget that you're dealing with other human beings with real human issues going on in their lives. And that's a big thing that I've said in the past, and I'll say it again today. The people who are putting out the shit posts and these little political jabs and all this other nonsense out there, it says something to me and to other people too. They're hurting in some way, shape, or form. There is something going on internally with them as a person that they feel the need or the obligation to be shitty out there in the ether. Even if they're not talking to anyone directly, they're just putting out negative responses to something or an opinion to take a jab at something. Like, for instance, this past week, it was the Supreme Court. You didn't like the Supreme Court decision, you're going to hear about it from me. When you feel the need to put out your negativity to the world in a serious manner, in a non-joking manner, because I joke all the time with my friends. We shit talk, we roast each other, but it's all in good fun. We're never really serious about the stuff we say about each other because we love each other. But when you're really serious about that to the point where you feel the need or the uncontrollable urge to post something like that on social media or to say something out loud, there's something going on inside you internally in that person that you're hurt. That person is hurting. Something's going on. They're insecure about something. Something happened to them maybe when they were younger and they can't get over it. Whatever it might be, they're dealing with issues. Okay? And that's one of the big reasons why I try very hard to no longer engage with these people, even the people in my life that I interact with every day, that I know who they are and and what they got going on way more than strangers on the internet. I know them as a human. I don't interact with it as often as I try to just omit myself completely. I think I've been doing an okay job lately, but it's because that person is dealing with something. To have that sort of internal urge, uncontrollable urge to be an asshole or to say something negative or to take a jab at a decision made by other human beings who have human problems and make human mistakes all the time as well, and to have that holier than that attitude about it, there's something's wrong with that person. Something's going on in that person's life that they need to get help with. And I very much feel bad for that. They might be a bad person, but I still feel bad for that. I can still empathize with that person. They're hurting, and this is how they're responding to that. This is how they're reacting to that pain and suffering or whatever they got going on in their lives. And I wholeheartedly think it's the wrong way to respond, the way they're doing it. But who am I to judge most people for how they're handling their shit? So I try to think about that, and that's why I try not to engage, because I don't think that's a good way to handle your suffering and your pain. I think there are better ways to do it, and I hope that they find these better ways. And I'm not going to be part of the problem by doing that. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and be like, I don't like the way you responded there, so I'm going to respond the same kind of way to show you what's up. I just don't like that. And I've done it before. I'm not sitting here holier than thou myself on my moral high horse thinking I'm better than everybody else. I am not. I've done it before. And that's why I'm talking about it so often and so emphatically, is because it's a problem. Okay? We don't like ourselves if we're doing that stuff more often than not. There's something about us we don't like in ourselves that makes us want to be shitty out there to other people and respond that way. And I've been there, and I'm trying to get better. And I know you guys in the LPDS universe try every day to get better as well. So that's why it's such a passionate thing, or a thing I feel passionately about. So anyway, number 3, the most important one, and this will help you absolutely forget about the shittiness in the world so you can focus on the other stuff. Be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. This is why I liked the Klug's response in the junction about going back with his knowledge and spending more time with his loved ones while he had the time to spend with them. That's why I like, because you don't know what you got until it's gone. And it's very difficult every day to actually understand that and actively be grateful for it. So that's why I always suggest starting off the day immediately with thinking about just one different thing that's in your life every day that's good, that you're grateful for, and to get your mind in that space. Get your muscle memory to think more about the good things in your lives and why you're so grateful to have them there, as opposed to taking them for granted. Because once it's gone, or they're gone, or whatever it is. So that's all I got today, guys. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and keep hitting the hotline, 202-670-1114. The bar has now been set with the hotline. Okay? If you're going to come with trash jokes or fake personas, you better think twice and better make sure it's at the level of Tony Saccone, my family, a ride or die LPDS fan. You better come and bring it at that level or better, because he set the bar. Okay? Humor, shit talking, gratitude, helpfulness, love. That's it. Bring it. Thank you guys again. I love you all. Stay strong.